In this video, we're going to talk about IT compliance. That is the legal compliance you might have to do for Australian legislation or even association or industry legislation. G'day Dan, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Okay, this is exciting. Hold yourself down if you possibly can. Let's talk about legal compliance. Firstly, what is IT legal compliance?
So legal compliance for businesses with regard to their IT is different for every business. For example, if you're a bank, you've got different compliance regulations to what a building company would have, for example. So each business needs to look at what compliance that they have and how does it relate to them.
Okay, so there's some Australia-wide IT legislation. What are some of the things that sort of affect everybody that most businesses need to be aware of?
So the legislation that's non-industry specific would be related to, most recently, the Notifiable data breach laws. They affect all Australian businesses, and not only that, if your business is operating inside Europe or the UK and the US, it also affects you as well. So Notifiable data breach laws came into effect in February 2018, and they basically say that if your business data is breached, if it's compromised in any way, whether that's a staff member walking out at the end of the day, stealing your data on a USB stick, or whether it's a hacker from Russia connecting in via the internet and stealing your data that way. Doesn't matter how your data was hacked, but you have to comply with the law by reporting it to the government and also advising all of your clients that you've been hacked. So that's now mandated for every Australian business, that if they are hacked, that they have to go through that process.
Does not sound like a fun day, emailing everybody that your stuff's just been nicked. All right, so that's some Australia-wide stuff. Can you talk to me about some examples of IT compliance requirements that are industry specifics? Maybe give us an example if you could.
I'll give you an example of a fairly small credit union that we worked with a few years ago. So they had their servers in their one data centre in their office, and they weren't backing them up to a remote location, which was a breach of the IT compliance that was regulating their industry. So because they didn't have these offsite backups, they needed us to come in and be able to create offsite backups and ensure that their data was replicated into another area in the event that something happened to their main data centre, that it could be brought up and restored in a second data centre. So we were able to do that. We were able to then test that plan and make sure that we could verify if the data was affected in the primary area, that we could bring it up in the secondary zone.
All right, good. Are there any other particular industries that have compliance or legislation issues that, just that they should be more aware of? Like banking is obviously one. Any others that have come up over your time in IT?
Well, I'd say most industries have got their own industry-specific regulations when it comes to compliance around IT. So banking, financial, so accountants do. Certainly general practices and specialists, anyone in the medical field, have got their own set of compliance and requirements that they have, which is regulated. In Australia, GPs are regulated by the College of GPs. So every industry generally would have their own industry-specific compliance that they have to go through.
So let's say I was a doctor and I just heard about this by watching the video and I thought, holy crikey, I'm one of them, I've got to go find this out. What's the best way for someone to go and actually find out which industry compliance laws they have to comply with?
Look, the first thing I'd say is speak to an IT professional, because generally we know what are the industries and what are the general things that have to be covered. But each business would then have an industry body that they would be able to go back to and be able to ask.
Anything else that we should know when it comes to IT compliance?
I generally say to people, just do the research and make sure that you're covered, because what might be relevant for your industry may not be relevant for another industry. So really just make sure that you're covered, because at the end of the day, it's the business owner and the directors of that company that are responsible for the compliance of that business.
All right, excellent. Thanks very much. For those of you who'd like to find out more, please feel free to get in touch through the website, sabervox.com.au.